This is Sky Blues Extra.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sky Blues Extra Live. We're here post-match to chew the fat on what was a disappointing evening for Mark Robins and his squad. But Tom, just sum that fixture up for me in a couple of words.
I was going to say, it did feel like afternoon. It was so bloody early, didn't it? I'd only just finished watching the chase and it was on. Summing up the game, I think we started really well. Thought we started really brightly, first sort of 10-15 minutes, playing some really nice stuff. Created a couple of excellent chances. Definitely should have scored at least one, if not both of those chances. The O'Hare one is criminal, really. He's got to be burying that, at that point of the game. And then we just sort of fell apart, really, didn't we? Like completely. Defensively, we completely fell apart. I think it was one of our worst defensive displays of the season, if I'm honest. And we just looked completely toothless up front, really, from then on. So very, very frustrating. And yeah, we didn't look very good at all tonight, did we, Dave?
No, I think it was a frustrating fixture, and the issue for me is that we're not that far off, and that's the most frustrating thing. I think that there's teams out there, Wycombe, and I know they've done some bits this season, but their fans must, they get battered nearly every other week or whatever, and they can't really see the light, through the trees. Yeah. Whereas for 5 minutes at the start, if that, and lots of, even at 1-0 down, lots of times you could see that, and in parts we completely played them off the park. I don't think anyone's questioning that, are they? It's just the things that are letting us down are the defensive qualities, and as you said, just toothless up front and not finishing our chances. We're going to take lots of questions and comments, obviously, from Sky Blues Extra followers at home. But what I'm going to do first, Tom, is just bring up the lineup and go through that, because obviously there was some debuts. Starting debuts, obviously, for and I've already forgot the pronunciation. Tom, help me out here.
I've forgotten it as well, mate. Let's go with Victor.
Vicky
Gyökeres, is it? Gyökeres?
Yeah, Gyökeres, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, Gyökeres came in, and also James started as well, didn't he? He went sort of straight into that lineup, and Sheaf's come out of the squad. But yeah, what did you make of Mark Robins, the way he set up tonight?
Yes, it's more or less what I expected, to be honest with you. Yeah. I wasn't quite sure whether Bakker would start the game or I can't do it. I can't say it. Gyökeres, is it? I wasn't sure who he'd go with. Obviously, he's handed a debut to the new lad. The only thing for me was I possibly wanted to see Hamer play slightly further forward and
Harmer.
Harmer. Yeah, Sky Sports have decided he's called Harmer after we spent half the season working out for ourselves, going through different possibilities. But I possibly thought he'd push Hamer a bit further forward and play Sheaf and James in the holding roles. But obviously he didn't decide to do that in the end. So yeah.
Yeah, and let's just go through some of the players' performances tonight before we get into the key events, I guess, and the key points of the game. What did you make of Hamer again? He was spot on in most of what he done, wasn't he? Both defensively and attacking.
Yeah, exactly. I think he probably was the best of a bad lot really tonight in terms of performance. His set pieces were excellent, really, really good, really big threat. But I think even by his standards, though, he probably didn't have his best game, did he? To be honest, no. Towards the end there, he was giving the ball away, and it wasn't helped by people not being in the right place and making the right run and things like that. But yeah, again, he does show sort of week in, week out that he is sort of head and shoulders above a lot of the players in our team, and one of the best players in the league, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And also, what did you make of defensively? We looked at just all at sea, didn't we? So many times today.
The back three tonight. They all in moments had a shocker, really, didn't they? If we're being honest. their first goal, Hyam just gets completely bullied off the ball. I mean, we were playing too high a line as it was to start with, so all three of them are at fault. And then Hyam just gets completely bullied off the ball, and it's very easy for them to finish. And then Ostergaard, Ostergaard had a couple of chances going forward. He looked quite dangerous, but at the back he was a bit all over the place. He was giving the ball away, playing absolute hospital passes around the back, and then Fads just, I mean that second yellow card. I mean it was an awful pass. Was it Ostergaard who played it across? I didn't catch who it was.
I'm not sure if it was. I thought I read that it was Hyam, but
yeah, I mean
I'm not too sure who it was. But it's just they did that, of course, in the first half.
Yeah,
and very early in we should have buried it really with O'Hare, but. Yeah, that ball across, it's just...
criminal really, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't be doing that. You're shooting yourself in the foot, aren't you?
Yeah, and I mean, there wasn't much Fads could do really at that point, to be honest. He kind of had to bring the man down, and he's already been booked, and it's the second yellow card, and he's off, and yeah, frustrating. And is that a one-game suspension then, I presume?
Yeah, I would have said that's a
one-game
suspension.
Which is annoying, because we've got an absolutely... probably one of the biggest games of our season next week against Sheffield Wednesday at home, and we'll be missing Fads, and I don't think Rose is fit, is he? So
I wouldn't have thought so. No, I think he's probably still on the sidelines.
So we're struggling a bit, aren't we? Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
we are.
I don't know if Thompson's going to come in or if Da Costa can play it as one of the three, or we go to a back four. I don't know. It leaves a bit of a hole, doesn't it, in our defence?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to bring some comments in a second. We're going to bring in Glenn, usual for us. We could do with some tactics like Glenn Goran Eriksson, but Glenn, just sum up that very quickly this evening. What did you make of it all, and what have we got to do now going forward with our fixtures?
No.
Sadly, it seems that Glenn's his signal is not working correctly. So let's bring some comments in. You mentioned there, didn't you, Tom, about who comes in?
That's a good point.
Drysdale has obviously been recalled. He's been playing lots of football away, obviously, from the Sky Blues. He could be someone that steps in.
Yeah, he could. Again,
stuff though, isn't it? That
I think this is the thing. There's a couple of people who could fill in, but we don't have strong backup options, do we? I mean, Drysdale, by all accounts, didn't have an amazing spell at Gillingham. They weren't sort of thrilled with him there. So, and that's obviously at League One level. So, different ball game at this level. Not sure if he's quite ready, but he might have to be. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's take it to the comments, and let's take it to the Sky Blues extra followers. Let's have a little bit of a forget about this fixture before we just chew the fat on it a little bit more. But while we're doing that, I suppose what we want to find out is what are you going to do in the next game now? Because there's some players that obviously play today, and a lot of people, there's been quotes, comments, Twitter all this evening saying what not fit to wear the shirt this evening, didn't run hard enough for the badge, commitment wasn't quite there in places. Not sure I agree personally with all those comments, Tom, but what would you be doing now as a if you were Mark Robins? And that's, I guess, what we want our Sky Blues extra followers to, send a message in, comment on the link below, and let us know what you're doing. Are you going 4-4-2?
Yeah.
Who's coming in? Who's staying out? Is Sheaf perhaps coming back in to shore up that defensive ability? Did we look a little bit like we needed that more extra bite in the middle of the park? Would you start Biamu, who had been a good servant whilst Matty God and others had been? Do let us know in the comments. But yeah, Tom, starting at the top of the pitch, what did you think of the new fella tonight?
I didn't think he was in the game much, was he, to be honest? Didn't really notice him. Don't know what you thought, but I hardly really noticed him that much, to be honest. Did you notice him much?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I thought he showed some really, I don't know, I suppose it's hard to try and weigh him up against Biamu and Godden. He did a very similar role as well.
I prefer Biamu. I think even there towards the end, Biamu hit the post, doesn't he? He does get his chances away a bit more. And I think, but it's just service, isn't it? That's what we're lacking, and that's why I was potentially keen to see Hamer a bit further forward. I just think he's much more creative. He can get a shot away. He scored goals for us this season, and I just think that might be an option. I don't think Shipley does enough, to be honest with you.
Let's have a look here. So Reese has said, I think the next game play 4-4-2 midfield being a diamond. Play Max and the new lad up top. Seemingly no one trying to spell the surname there. And Martin says new lad up top, held it up and has some good touches. Now Dave says we should say that we've got COVID and postponed the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing Robins will be thinking about is that, or saying to the players is, Reading are a good side. They are there. They got. I mean, I don't know what you thought, but I thought some of their players looked absolutely class tonight. To be fair,
yeah,
that lad down the left looked really good for them. And I just think, Sheffield Wednesday aren't anywhere near as stronger opposition as them.
No,
so,
of course. Yeah.
We're going to get more. I mean, we still had a good amount of the ball in this game, didn't we?
But this is the thing, though. Like I was going to say, on the contrary to that, I thought that they played a lot of misplaced passes. I thought they looked quite wasteful in possession. I thought we dominated a lot of large parts of the midfield.
But they still beat us 3-0. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think their attacking prowess tonight was just too much for us.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been more as well. I mean, their lad down the left, when he literally just skinned everyone, and then I think he came off the post in that.
Yeah. In
the first half, I mean, stuff like that. We don't have anyone who takes on 3 or 4 men like that, do we? In our team, really?
No.
For being honest, and gets their shot away.
Yeah.
Dabo does it sometimes and gets the ball in, but I think that was the slight difference, really.
Yeah. No, let's try and bring Glenn again because I think he's waiting in the wings. We'll give you another go, Glenn. Are you there? Seemingly not. No. I think obviously having some issues there. So yeah, okay. I suppose let's go for some more comments then, Tom. Play them both up front. Can't expect anything from the new lad on his own. Current system has no threat.
Yeah, I mean the new lad. We probably have to call him by his name at some point. But I'm pretty sure he played as a 2 at Swansea. I don't think he's been playing on his own very much. So I don't think it possibly doesn't suit him as well playing up on his own. I know some players like Godden, they thrive really well in that position. But maybe it might be worth trying too. Although, you see it a lot on Twitter, don't you? People saying, let's play 2 up front. And is that our only sort of, is that the only idea we've really got? I don't know. That seems to be the only thing we feel like we can revert back to. Surely there's enough creativity in our midfield and packing out that midfield to create stuff. You'd hope, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Robbins seems to just not want to go 2 up top, does he? Unless he has to on the 60th or 70th minute. But I'm trying to think back the games that we have done that when we have gone 2 up top.
2 up front. I don't think we've won with 2 up front, have we?
No, I can't think of a fixture now. And this is the issue, I think, that Robbins is just... He's very, very stuck, isn't he, with that system. That's the way he wants to play, and that's kind of how
to be fair, with the injuries we've had, he's been unlucky because for Walker and Godden to be injured at the same time is pretty unlucky, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is. You've got one of them in the summer. It was your top goal scorer last season. Godden showed, he hit the ground running really in terms of, we were scrapping around for points early on, weren't we? We didn't look the best. It was a big adjustment to the league, but Godden still was managing to score perhaps out of not nothing, but he was feeding on scraps, wasn't he?
But that's what gives me a bit of hope is that with how far is Walker off? A couple of weeks probably.
Yeah.
Back in for the Birmingham game maybe or the one after that. I think our midfield's decent, and I think if it was Sheaf and James and then Hamer and O'Hare carrying the ball, Hamer creating stuff, Walker will get on the end of things and he'll score goals. So, I think it's that top end of the pitch, isn't it? If Walker was there, would you feel like we're a much stronger team? Would you feel much more confident?
Probably not.
No.
I don't think. No.
But then what's going wrong then? Because, like, on paper, our midfield's decent, isn't it?
I just think that what's happened in a lot of the games. You look at Norwich, you look at Reading tonight, you look at Bournemouth. You know, they're the games that we've looked at it and we've gone, oh, they only have to just move the ball, shift it sideways, get a shot away, and it's 1-0, and you can't really do anything against it. But by and large, out of the 90 minutes, we've actually looked okay. I think, you know, it really isn't panic stations at all. When you look at the league and you look at how we've played against some teams, there's been games that we've just ground out and they've been a bore game, and that's because no teams wanted to lose, right? You know, you look at Barnsley, perhaps that fixture, it's games that no one really wanted to lose. But yeah, it's hard to be too negative, I think, after tonight, because although as poor a performance as it was, and I think, you know, a lot of people made the case, Tom, that people, you know, we've had so much time to prepare for this game. I think that's a frustration from some of the fans.
Yeah, although, you know, a lot of preparation time, but I think it did do us some good. I don't know what you thought. I thought we looked a lot fresher. I thought when we came out, we looked a bit fresher. We were playing our stuff nicely in the first half, the first 15-20 minutes. And that's where I thought, you know, maybe we can, but, you know, the football's quite cruel in that respect. You know, if you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished. You know, you're away at Reading, they're a good side, and you get two absolutely gifted opportunities in the first 15 minutes and you don't take them. It's almost written, you know, at that point. You know, when Oscar missed that header, I bet every Cov fan went, "Oh, you know, we're not going to get another one of those now, probably." It's just one of those, you know. Could have been 2-0 up at half time, and then it's a completely different game.
What do you think about that sort of coulda, shoulda, woulda sort of? Because a lot of fans are coming out and are a bit frustrated about this now, because we sit on here every week and we say, wasn't that bad, or you know, we'll take a draw. It wasn't a bad performance. We played great football in parts, but they just had a bit of quality. Like,
I think that's it.
Is that just it?
I think that is it, yeah. I think there's a couple of things. I think one thing that I've noticed is the first goal is really important in the games. You know, I think they mentioned tonight, I think Reading have won all but one of their games that they've taken the lead in. You know?
Was it 16 of them or something?
And I don't know what our stats are like, but I just feel like that first goal is really important in the game. And I think the other thing is like what you're saying is this season is unfortunately just about scraping through, you know.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course we all want to, like, you know, go away and win it away at Reading, or even draw away at Reading tonight would have been a good result. But we're just sort of scraping through, and you know, we won our last league game away at Millwall, and we could win our next league game, and then out of the three, it's actually a very good return, you know. So we kind of have to stay positive, really. Tonight isn't defining our season. The next game, the next 3 or 4 games, could possibly define our season.
Yeah.
You know, if we lost the next game, we are right back in it.
Yeah.
So it's massive, mate.
Yeah. Let's bring in some more comments. Don't trust Drysdale Thompson at the back just yet. We'd switch to a 4-3-3 and start Hamer, Sheaf and James together. Could then play O'Hare in behind Biamu and the new lad, less width, but probably the best option at the moment. It's
not a bad shout. My only concern is, like, even our wing backs, are they good sort of full backs? You know, that's my concern. But
you'd have to say McCallum is, wouldn't you? You'd have to say he would probably able to play a left back position.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I don't know. What do you think about Dabo at right back?
Yeah, I think he'd cut a frustrated figure not being able to get forward and just being pegged back in his own, you know, in that formation. But it certainly seems now that we don't seem to be supporting that lone striker regularly enough and quick enough for me. And I think that's
agreed.
That's what it's boiling down to, and that's something it's got to be resolved.
I think you're right, like the speed as well, because although we played some nice stuff in that first 15 minutes, we weren't quick, were we? We weren't, we weren't onto the counter attack really quickly.
Tim
it was quite slow build up.
Biamu and Vic as a front two, Shipley and O'Hare aren't working in that forward attacking third in the current formation. it's a fair point, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's working.
Shipley's been in now a couple of games, hasn't he? You know,
Yeah, I mean, he did all right. He did all right at Millwall.
Well. Yeah, I
did
thought
all right
he
at
played
Millwall.
all right today, and I'm sure there'll be people questioning me saying that, but I thought he closed down well. I thought he had a lot of nice little touches. Sometimes his decision making isn't always there, and that's just it. But I think he played some really nice touches, lovely little, passes. He linked up well with the striker tonight. Well in parts.
Yeah.
We will bring in another caller, which is Mark, in a quick second. Let's just have a quick look at some of the others. I would like to see Giles in the team instead of Shipley, as I think Giles is a player who can create chances. Quite a keen advocate of this, Tom, aren't you? You quite
Giles.
like to see Giles further forward.
Yeah. I quite like Giles a bit further forward. I thought, because he came on against Millwall, didn't he, in that sort of position, and he looked quite exciting actually. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we've got to try something slightly different, haven't we? I suppose the only problem we have got is the loan thing, isn't it?
Yes.
One of them has to drop out each week, which is a little bit annoying. So if you were to play Giles, then what happens then? Does Sheaf drop out of the squad? Possibly. But we are a bit sort of a bit hamstrung by that, really, aren't we?
Yeah, well, we're going to bring Mark in a second, but Sky Blues Extra followers, do make sure you comment on what you thought about tonight's game, and also importantly, the transfer window, of course, isn't over just yet, isn't finished. Would you like to see Mark Robins do some more business, and what would that be? Would there be players going out, players coming in, and if players coming in, what would the positions be? Is there any targets that you could actually specifically tell us? We'll talk about that in a minute, Tom. Hopefully we get some comments from you guys at home on the transfer business, but let's bring in Mark, who like a lot of us tonight was probably frustrated at watching that 3-0 defeat away to Reading. Mark, how are you doing, and what was your thoughts on tonight's fixture? Really odd. It's as if we are not going to have any guests tonight, and it's
oh, don't know what's going on there.
Okay, well, much like a bit of a confusing performance tonight from Sky Blues Extra Live, a little bit like the Sky Blues, but I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, this is an interesting one, Tom. We need a couple of centre backs with some pace. Let's talk centre backs. We talked a lot this season. Been really impressed with McFadzean. In many of his games, we always said that we felt Higham had made the step up from League One to the Championship really, really well. But last couple of fixtures, there's just been some bits slipping in, hasn't there?
Yeah, Highham's form's a little bit concerning, to be honest with you. I think if you look at the last sort of 4 or 5 goals we've conceded, he's been involved, hasn't he, in some way? So yeah, a little bit concerned about Higham. He's not. But he's, like we said on the podcast, he sets himself pretty high standards, doesn't he? So when he slips from that, it's very, very noticeable. I think Fads has had a good season, but at times he does get caught out, doesn't he, for pace, and he's got a mistake in him as well, which can cost us. Tonight obviously he got sent off. Ostergaard, a real mixture, really. In flashes, and like I said, going forward,
he's quite wasteful of the ball for me.
Yeah, I think he's wasteful with the ball. I think gives the ball away, and just a little bit makes me a little bit nervous sometimes when he's got the ball at his feet. But going forwards, he's dangerous, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, again tonight. It was. I
mean, he's the only one really that goes up for the head, and he just seems to lose his man really well, doesn't he? Like at the back post, he's got this thing that he does where he peels off to the back post, and he seems impossible for players to mark. They have 2 on him sometimes, and I think like against Rotherham, he still managed to score from deep. So yeah, he's dangerous going forwards, but yeah, I'm a bit concerned about the back 3. We looked a bit all over the place tonight, to be honest. And Reading even had that chance towards the end, didn't they? That they put wide, and we were all over the place at that point.
Yeah.
But obviously we'd made changes by then. But yeah, a little bit worried about the back 3, to be honest. from the recent goals we've conceded.
And what can we do to change that? Really, I mean, we've got that's the players we've got. Like we've said,
Tough, isn't it?
Drysdale is he's a player that's been playing at League One, no Championship experience. Big jump that in
Massive
such,
jump.
in such critical games. I think.
Yeah,
I
that's the
an
thing. I
important
think
thing to say.
it's not a great time to not have
And
fads
let's not
available.
forget, we went. How many games without being beaten? We kept lots of clean sheets in those games.
Yeah, 8 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but they were quite a few of them were at home. Our home form is a lot better, to be honest with you. Like I think they said tonight, we've only kept 1 clean sheet away from home, which I think was Barnsley, was it?
Yeah.
So, and we've kept a lot of clean sheets this season, but obviously they've all been at home, haven't they? So,
Yeah.
I guess the other positive thing of looking at it is that I think we've got 6 out of the next 7 are at St Andrews, something like that.
Yeah,
Someone was
yeah.
saying on Twitter. So obviously one's technically an away game, but it's
Yeah.
pretty much a home game, isn't it? So 6 out of 7, they're massive games. So hopefully we can turn it around and we've been in some ruts before this season. We've had some bad results. We got beaten 4-0 by Blackburn. One's like 2-0 away at Middlesbrough. We've had some disappointing times, but we've always bounced back from them, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think before the international break was it October? We were feeling a bit down in the dumps. We were a bit worried about relegation and how we were going to get our way out of it. And then, like I said, went on a brilliant run, collected a load of points, beat teams like Cardiff along the way,
Yeah.
and got ourselves right out of it. So we know the team have got a lot of character and we can get out of it. And the next few games are going to be crucial, really. I think.
How would you, with obviously McFadzean missing, how would you line up at the back then? Now it's very forced, isn't it? With Rose not fit, would you go Ostergaard?
I'd go. I think I'd play 4 at the back, Dave. To be honest, I think I'd go. I can't remember who it was that made a comment about the 4-3-3. That sounds quite exciting, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was it?
McCallum,
So obviously
Dabo.
4 at the back, and then was it Hamer, Sheaf, and James
Yeah.
as the 3, and then O'Hare just behind Biamu and Gyökeres. What's his name?
Jokovic, I think.
Jokovic.
I think that's a lie.
Whatever his name is. So yeah, I think that possibly would be a good system. I think we might be forced to go 4 at the back, really, because, like you say, having talked through it, I don't think Drysdale's ready. I don't think Thompson's ready. So yeah, we might be forced to try something a bit different. So yeah,
Cool.
what do you think, Dave? What would you go with?
Yeah, well, I was going to say let's try and bring Mark back in, and we'll ask Mark what how he'd line up.
Third time
and
lucky, is it?
Yeah, third time lucky, and that will give you followers at home a chance to just drop in the comments how you'd line up for the Sky Blues' next fixture. Yeah, Mark, how did you
There he
find? What was your thoughts on tonight's game? And most importantly, how would you line up now in the next fixture?
Well, I mean, obviously, as we've been talking about earlier
Hey,
tonight.
it worked for a start.
Yeah, you can hear me. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Always good to talk to you. Yeah, I mean, as you said earlier, first 10 minutes, 2 golden opportunities. I think O'Hare's just lacking in confidence, isn't he? I mean, that really should have been 1-0. We should have buried it in the back of the net. Yes, he hit the target, but really you've got to make the keeper. I mean, the keeper shouldn't be saving that. That should be in the back of the net, 1-0. More confident, hungry striker. It's just an easy chance, 1-0.
It really puts them up against it at home as well, doesn't it? They talk about the whole revenge thing and all of that, and you think, well, go 1-0 up there, and they're really up against it, and they've got to play then.
I thought Reading were very poor actually. First 10 minutes. I thought we played really well. We looked fresh. We looked like we were up for the game, up for the challenge. We didn't look like a team that was struggling. And then we missed that chance. Then Ostergaard misses a free header from the corner, which possibly is an easy chance, but that should be 2-0 there. And then they score from their first attack. And I have to say, Hyam tonight was abysmal. I thought it was probably the worst game for the club that I've seen. He made so many mistakes, not just him, of course.
Yeah.
But I think he was probably the worst culprit. I think McFadzean Unfortunately, Hyam played a role in his red card with a bad pass. Kvadsing, unfortunately, was a bit slow and a bit late in the tackle. But no, I think generally as a team, defensively, we were just shocking. I think you could see the goal and quality up front. That's the difference.
What do you think's happened to Hyam, Mark? What do you think it's down to that because his standards have slipped, haven't they, the last sort of 2 or 3 games, and he's been involved in a lot of the goals we've given away. What do you think's going wrong?
I think it's just concentration. I think more than anything, and just making mistakes.
And do you think worried about making mistakes now as well, which is possibly playing on their mind?
Yeah, it's a psychological thing, and it does play in your mind when you make mistakes. I think he was unsteady against Norwich as well, and I think the interesting thing now is what happens next match. Now obviously
you've got to put this behind you tonight. It's just one of those games that it could have gone very differently, like you said, if we'd have scored those early chances, but we didn't. We move on. It's tough, isn't it? You've got McFadzean now, who's going to be suspended. You've obviously, of course, got a new striker that perhaps done a lot of running tonight. Didn't really get involved in the game. Couldn't really get involved in the game. How are you lining up, Mark, in the next fixture?
I'd like to see 2 up front, actually. I just don't think. I mean, it's no coincidence when we've played the one up front in all the games this season. It doesn't matter who you have up front. You could have Lionel Messi up front in theory.
If you don't,
you don't get. It's just I don't know. Obviously, Lionel Messi is obviously a special talent, but I think when you look at the players,
the transfer window is still open, Mark.
Yeah.
It's only 500 million, isn't it? The release clause.
Yeah, well, I'll just get 6 numbers lottery and it'll be done, so it's fine. Easy. No,
Joy can sell one of our handbags, can't she?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But no, in all seriousness, no, I think the problem is you look at all the games this season, it doesn't matter who you've had up front, it's the same problem.
Yeah.
That person up front is isolated, whether it's Walker, Godden, is it Gayorquez, I'm going to pronounce it. I'm probably completely wrong. But
Vic.
I think it's. I don't think it's just about that. I think it's players like Yo Hares, the Shipleys. I mean, it's no coincidence that Hamer's our top goal scorer with 4 goals because our best play comes from a little bit deeper, and he's our best player. I mean, today Hamer was probably not had one of his better games. To be honest, I thought his passing was a little bit, hit and miss.
You almost forgive it though, don't you? Because he plays those. He switches it out wide, and the amount of times he does hit the target, you almost forgive those rogue ones. I know there was one to left back, wasn't there, tonight? I think to McCallum that went completely wayward, lost all momentum, and you had to really only sort of keep it in from going out of play. But you sort of forgive them with Hamer, I think, because you know what he can do.
Yeah, I think we all feel that he can sort of, because that one bit of magic, either a shot or brings other players to play. I actually thought Dabo had a good game tonight. Actually, I thought going forward, he was good. It's just a shame that when he did put the ball in the box, there was never a play at the end of it. He gets headed out for a corner. I thought Ostergaard was a threat on set pieces, but again, it's the same old story. It's like Groundhog Day.
Not flooding the box enough. Not getting enough support up to the front man.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. I think it could have gone differently tonight. We could be sitting here right now and saying, we won 2-1. We played. That was that kind of game. But then you missed them 2 chances, and then once Reading get that first goal, it's just that sinking feeling that that's game over. It's just a psychological thing. I think it's just confidence. I don't think we're a bad team, but we do have a mistake in us, and that's the problem.
At this level, it gets punished, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, Zhao up front. You look at him now. If I'm someone like Max Biamu and I want to model myself on a good striker, look at him. Look at how strong he is on the ball. The way he just that first goal. He's basically saying to Hyam, "Get off me! I don't want you."
He bullied him, didn't he?
Yeah,
he bullied him.
That's
what I want.
I mean, we were out of shape and we were completely out of position, and we were playing catch up from that point, but. He shrugged him off so easily, didn't he? I know you're always worried about giving away a penalty, but it was. And then you look at the you look at the goal where they've turned him where it's come across. I know people have perhaps said that Ben Wilson could have perhaps done better, but there's a sea of bodies in there. It's been fired in with some pace. Goalkeepers, is a sort of sea of bodies, but Hyam, he got really caught out by what was a simple sort of just shield him out, stay goal side, but he went the other side and let the cross in.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't like criticising individuals.
No.
It's not nice. It's like in my job, if someone was saying something about me all the time, I'd lose my confidence as well. So I just think he could do. I don't see who potentially, if Rose is fit, I don't know what his situation is better than what we've already got. You could possibly say Drysdale. He's had a spell at Gillingham. He's had a taste of first team football. You could possibly argue his case, but I've not seen enough for him to form an opinion really either way. So I think it's just a case of Robbins might have put arm around the shoulder type of thing, and just give him a bit of a pep talk, because at the moment, his confidence. I don't know him personally, and I think it's how the manager. It's down to Robbins to get the best out of him, because at the moment he looks shot at the moment.
But it was a player, wasn't it, that when he first played in the Championship, first couple of fixtures, he stood out as someone that you'd say had really made that jump up. So we all know it's in there. It's just one of those, and when it's not going for you, it's not going for you. And it doesn't help, does it? I suppose when you've got players being sent off as well, and you sort of, we were a bit ragged, we were a bit stretched at times, and they do shift it well and fast, Reading, and if you play catch up and you're out of position, it's very tough to get back round. And
I actually think Hyam, up until say last 3 or 4 games, has actually been playing really well this season. He has been solid. It's been sort of a 7.5, 8 out of 10 performance every week. Very dependable. But there is definitely a confidence issue there with him. It's just a passing distribution. There's just no confidence there. I don't know. I think it is frustrating, because I think as a team we are good enough. I think the problem is, right, the way I see it is that if we don't get that first goal in a game, if we concede that first goal, teams like a Reading or a good team will just sit back, defend in numbers, and they'll hit on the counter.
Yeah.
And we've got to find a way in these games.
It's an uphill challenge. When you look at things like the transparency between budget, player wages, quality, how much players are worth, all of that stuff, and then you go 1 or 2-0 down. It's very difficult, isn't it, for a group of players like that to be able to have. There's not almost enough individuality skill wise and to sort of pull anyone out of a game. And I think we do look like a team that look around perhaps the pitch and go, well who's going to do this now? Who's going to pick this game up by the scruff of the neck and say, no, we're not going to get beat here?
I think the thing is that whilst I've been going on about Hyam, I think it's also about how we attack as a team and taking them chances. I think
of course.
It's not just about one player.
Yeah.
But,
well, the defenders will be screaming, won't they, when those chances don't go in and they've just saved one off the line. We talk about Hyam today. We talk about Hyam when he saved one off the line and put himself into the post. Imagine getting that and putting yourself into the post, and then someone goes and misses a sitter from 5 yards.
Absolutely.
You're furious, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. And I just think it's not just about defence. We're not scoring goals. Well, we didn't score goals tonight, and we had 2, golden opportunities there. And that's what makes me more angry about the whole game, because I know that was a game we could have, at worst, we could have nicked a draw. It's been a bit like that all season, though, hasn't it, Mark? We've never looked, apart from a few games, we've never looked that far off of it. And I think that's what I'm hearing a lot on Twitter, that that's the biggest word. It's a shame, because we look so close to pulling out these results. It's just that little bit of quality. Yeah, but it's the quality in the final third for me, and it's individual mistakes at the back. Whether it's Hyam or someone else, there's misplaced passes. There's too many fouls given away in and around sort of the penalty area. It's just mistakes, individual mistakes. I think are costing us. I think we do play in a good tempo. I like let's say, first 10, 15 minutes, I like the football we play. I thought we would play some excellent football. Our best football, as you can see, is clearly on the right-hand side with Dabo. Dabo, for me, and Hamer are the best two players by a country mile. They are championship standard players. Yeah. And I feel like if one of those two, gets injured or a suspension, I think we're really struggling to me.
Yeah, for the creativity.
That's my biggest concern. Hopefully, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Morosi played in the under-23s, I think, yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see if Robins might bring a change in that area as well.
Mark, do you think Wilson could have done better for their second goal?
Possibly. It's difficult to say. I like to see it again, to be honest. I think a few of the guys.
I thought he could have got down to it, possibly.
Yeah. I think he's done okay, but I think I'd like to see Morosi come back. I just feel he commands the area quite well. I don't think Wilson's done too badly overall, but I would probably look at that as well as another change. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I don't know about the Morosi thing. It's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? It seems harsh on Wilson possibly to take him out, but then again, Morosi was one of our star players last season, so you can understand if Robins does want to get him back in as soon as he's available and fit. So I think it's always a tough one with goalkeepers, really, isn't it? But he might be a couple of weeks off. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I think it's less about perhaps sort of fitness, more about kind of sharpness and having his eye in and things like that, which probably 2 or 3 under-23s games will help to bring that back for him. And then it'll be a tough one, I think, for him to decide.
And as I say, up front, I just feel like when we attack, every time we put a cross in the box, there's never ever enough bodies in the box. That's what really frustrates me. I think O'Hare has done okay this season, but it's his finishing that lets him down. And so that today was it's frustrating because I know we've got a team there that could possibly at highest get maybe mid-table if we have a really good season. If things go our way, we're an okay mid-table team. But it's just those individual mistakes for defensively and attackively. I don't think it's down to one player or anything like that. I just think it's just frustrating. We're all frustrated. I'm fed up. I'm sick of the back teeth of sitting here and saying, we're creating chances and not putting it away because it's frustrating. So.
But it could be a hell of a lot worse. Like I think that's the most important thing to say because here is a group of players that absolutely walked League One at the majority of the time last season. By all terms and purposes, they have actually made the step up. We're not sitting here like a Wickham, and getting beat every single week. So although there's going to be these frustrating fixtures, I think really the step up it's probably super succeeded what we may have originally thought at the start of the season. But then with the hindsight of actually having watched the games, of course, we've been so close. I think that's what makes it frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think what Waldy was saying earlier was spot on about the next few games. I think that's going to make or break our season. I think you look at the Forest, Sheffield Wednesday home games.
Talking about these games, Mark, how many points are you expecting us to get? So we've got Sheffield Wednesday, Birmingham, Forest, and Watford is our next 4. How many are you picking up from them?
I think so. I think if I take the Watford game out of the equation, I think we've got to look at least 7 points. For me, we need to beat Wednesday. I think Wednesday are actually in a forced position. I think they're a better team than what people may think they are. I think with Wednesday, it's Bannon for me is their dangerous player on set pieces and reach as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. And Forest, obviously, they've had a decent result against Millwall on at the weekend. And I don't think they're any pushovers either. But I think the key with all these games is trying to find a way of getting in front. Because I feel like when we concede the goal, teams are just happy just to sit back, and just punish us on the break. Okay, next 2 games aren't of the quality of Reading and Norwich, but at the same time, we've got to find a way of scoring goals.
No, I think you're right. I was saying earlier on, that I do feel that first goal is important. If you look at games like the Rotherham game and the Wickham game, where we came out of the blocks early, got ourselves into a lead, we felt pretty comfortable though in those games, didn't we? Just by being ahead, and then we could play our football. And then when you play your football and it's slow build up, that's absolutely fine at 1-0 up.
Team are chasing as well, aren't they?
It's a different game altogether. And then you might get one on the break or a set piece, and you 2-0 up. And I think you're right, Mark. I think we just need to find a way of getting our noses ahead in these games, because going 1-0 down in the first half, it's tough. We're giving ourselves a mountain to climb.
When we went on that run, we did that, didn't we? We made ourselves extremely hard to beat, and that's what we said that Robins had to do. We sat here every week saying that we're too easy to beat, we're conceding goals too easily, we look at the balls that were just going over the top, and we did that. Our defensive, credibility went through the roof, didn't it? And it's now, but it's now changed a little bit. Where tonight and a few other games aside, but we're not putting these chances away, which is just putting so much more pressure, I suppose, on the back four at times.
I think this is a massive test of Robins's management skills now, because I think we're getting to a point in the season now. Okay, I know we're only sort of halfway point, but you look at the next games in February. We're playing teams near the top, the Bournemouths, the Brentfords of this world, the Watfords. They're the tough games. These certainly the 3 games now. The Wednesday, Forest, Birmingham. You've got to try and win all. You've got to try and win all them games. It's if we do that, then what's that? 35 points. Things look a bit rosier.
2 out of 3 is good as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd take
2 out of 3 is alright. Well. It's just not losing them as well. Like they feel a bit like 6 pointers. Even if we won one of them and drew 2 of them, I know it probably sounds a bit negative, possibly, but it just means that we're building a gap, because the teams below us aren't always going to win, so we'll still be building that gap, but. If you lose to any of them, they're going to shoot ahead of us. Birmingham could go 3 points ahead of us, and then they're a little bit out of it. So I think we can't afford to lose any of them, I feel. Yeah. And if we can win 2 out of the 3, I think that would be good. That would be really good for our season.
Yeah, I think the only disappointing thing about tonight was Derby. I think, did they win against Bournemouth?
Derby won. So we say about the 7 points and the number of teams below, but it's getting a lot tighter now. Yeah, much tighter down there. Derby have really clawed their way out.
And you see Rotherham, is 7 points behind, but remember Rotherham got games in hand, so that's the thing you have to think about.
Yeah, 2 games in hand, exactly. So it's tightened up. These last 2 games, obviously we didn't play at the weekend, and then we've lost tonight. It's really tightened up, and obviously I think a few of them round us play tomorrow night as well.
Yeah.
So, we could find ourselves in 20th position tomorrow night, and it's getting a little bit nervy, but we can put it right next week, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mark,
I think. Yeah.
Thank you ever so much for coming on. We're going to let you get on with the rest of your evening tonight.
Yeah.
Do join us again, obviously next week. We'll hopefully be discussing 3 points. Well needed, I think. But thanks as always for your input. Always brilliant to have you on the show.
Cheers, Mark.
Take
care, mate.
Mark.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Some really good points, Tom, and we go into a period now that is, I think it's crucial, isn't it?
Massive.
We pick up that form. We go back to that where we need to be hard to beat. Looks difficult up top, but we've got this new lad in. We've got Biamu, who's proved a credible servant at times. A lot of call for 2 up top, but some really vital games, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely enormous games. It's there's a long way to go in the season, but these next 3 do feel massive, don't they?
Yeah.
If we don't pick up points in these next 3, then we will be right, in the bottom 3, if not just outside. So yeah, I think we definitely have to win at least one of them, and not lose any of them. Like, really, being honest. So yeah. Big
That's
games
all we've
ahead.
got time for tonight, Tom. Do join us again on Sky Blues Extra Live, where hopefully we'll be talking about 3 points. But it's not all doom and gloom. The Sky Blues aren't, they're not in the relegation zone as of yet. They've made a big step up into the Championship, and in most games they've impressed or at least competed. It's just that little bit of cutting edge, I think, tonight would have made it a completely different game, I think, Tom. But we'll be here again, of course, next week, and we hope that you can all join us as well.